Welcome to your safe space, the podcast your partner, friends, parents, whoever thinks it's dirty. Don't have time to read books? Want to understand all the jokes in the TikToks? We got you, fam. We're the Spice Traders, and we deal in spicy books. I'm Katie, and I need it to make sense.
I'm Liz, and I'm hypercritical.
Before we get to today's episode, we want to encourage you to check out our Patreon, where we publish extra episodes every other week, as well as ad-free versions of our regular feed episodes. Also, any series we read past the first book, all that coverage is Patreon only, so think series like ACOTAR, Fourth Wing, Guild. Anyway, we really appreciate the support and encouragement to continue doing something we love and sharing it with you.
Thanks in advance for checking that out. As always, we start this episode with 3 things. First is a generic trigger warning. You can find specific triggers for this book in our show notes, so please check those out. We also use foul language and talk a lot about sex. If you have sensitivity to either of those things, our podcast probably isn't for you.
Second, our episodes talk about books, the whole book, nothing but the book, so help me goddess. If you don't want something spoiled, don't listen to this episode.
And finally, we acknowledge that a good book can hit you at the wrong time. Our views discussed in our episodes are our opinion, and we don't want to diminish the work or the talents of the authors in our community. That said, we have some notes.
So, girl, what are we talking about today?
Sorry,
I forgot it was my turn.
I was just like, I forget
I'm like waiting
frequently.
for you. I'm like, yeah, girl, go. It's your intro.
Well, it's hard coming off of like a 3-4 parter because like now we've had so many times of me. It's been me.
Yeah, you've been leading me in for a month now.
Exactly. And now it's your turn.
Anyway.
Today we're talking. I don't know why I said it like that. I had to like shake it out.
I'm leaving all of this in, by the way.
Please do. I think this is gold. Today we're talking about Tragically Yours by Jamie Applegate Hunter. This was published in 2025, and it is a standalone, but it's in the same universe as Viciously Yours, which we covered last year. Technically, this is the third one. We skipped the second one. They don't need to be read in order, and we were just more interested in these characters than whoever the fuck was in the second one. I don't know who those people are. According to Goodreads, this book is 292 pages long. My Kindle said like 270. Either way, those are technically middies, but we're couching them as shorties because we're couching this one as a shorty because it definitely is. Like, I started this book on Tuesday and I finished it this morning, and I wasn't committing a lot of time to reading it. It just flies by.
Yeah, and I think we were doing that from like experience from the last book. Like, they're fun. I mean, I do have 11 pages of notes, so it might be a little bit longer than usual, but like, not a lot happens in it, girl.
No, we got a lot of smut, and that's about it.
Yeah.
The cover is fine. It's kind of like blue smoky. There's like yellow smoke and blue, and then you have what is definitely a snake, which we'll get into because Cassandra is my favorite character in this book. And there's really not that much else to the cover. I do appreciate it because it's for what's in this book. You could have this cover in public and people probably wouldn't know what it was. I mean, it looks like kind of a dark romance, which it, I guess sort of is, but it's not the bodice ripper threesome on the cover that we've seen with other romances.
Yeah, it's just kind of generic. It does feel like maybe there's more of a villainous arc to it. Like, it gives me like maybe this is a Jafar fanfic.
Yes, because the cover looks like Desperate Measures.
Yes,
which is the
very
Jafar
much.
fanfic.
Yes.
The snake is not the villain. I guess it depends who you ask, but she's a delight. I should have also said that this series is the Fae Kings of Eden, but again, they're standalones. You can read them in any order. You don't there's literally zero crossover besides just mentioning of other names that you don't need to know.
Yeah. Basically, if you start with the first one, you're fine to read the rest of them in whatever order.
Exactly. So let's get into it. Katie, kick it off.
All right. So first of all, this is on Kindle Unlimited, which is great for all of us who are on that. And then we kick it off with a great dedication, which says, quote, "To everyone who hates the word folds, at least it's not flaps."
That got me immediately. I was like, okay, yeah. I don't really like folds. Flaps is way worse.
Yeah, actually, this made me warm up to folds.
Me too. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I can do folds because if you give
folds.
me the counter, of flaps.
Make me understand truly how much worse it could be.
And I'll
And I'm here
appreciate
for
it
it.
more.
Yeah.
And then, we get a lot of folds in this book. Not a single one bothered me.
Nope, not after that dedication. So moving on, we then get a number of different things before we jump in. First is a glossary of terms, which covers like the different types of fae and mates and things like that. But because we read the other like first book in the series, I didn't really need it because this world is just like super not that complicated. But it's a nice refresher if that's what you're into. We then get a map that shows kind of where everything is, and it's a fine map. It's as good as it was before. And just as a reminder, also not very complicated, there's the garden, mountain, desert, and tropical kingdoms. That's where the fae live, and they're all kind of on the outside of the human kingdom in the middle. Fine. Then we get a Spotify playlist, which has a link that does work. Thank you very much. And that's great. There are definitely some bangers on this one.
I was pretty pleased. A lot of times when we get them, I have either never heard of any of the music or I just don't like it. This one, I was like, okay, girl.
Yeah, I like it. We then get a piece of fan art, which is interesting because like fan art typically tries to like romanticize the characters, right? And like make them the desirable thing that they are in our head. And these two characters just look so regular.
They're just like people off the street. I forgot about the fan art immediately. That's how like unremarkable they are. Like the art is good.
Yeah.
I'm not knocking the art, but to your point, they're just people.
Yeah, and like I'm not even sitting here trying to tell you that that's like a bad thing. I think it's realistic.
Yeah.
But it was just a little bit shocking because like I'm used to like, our female main character being like scantily clad on like the lab of our male main character, and they're sitting on a throne and he's looking like a shadow daddy and there's like gold everywhere, and these two are just like two people walking in a forest.
And they're not dressed in any like particular way. Like this could be from any genre.
I mean, he's got pointy ears, but that's about it.
That's about it.
So then we get a content warning, which is in our show notes. So please take a peek at those. It's the regular stuff. There's nothing like super out of left field in this book, but do just take a peek at that.
Just in case.
Finally, we get a disclaimer that's pretty funny. So I think it makes sense if you just want to read it for us, maybe.
Yes. Let me pull it up. Okay. If you're looking for an amazing fantasy with an intricate plot, this might not be the book for you. This is an unhinged fantasy romance. There's no intricate world building or big fantasy plot. The plot focuses solely on the romance between the two main characters. The books in the series were written to be quick, fun reads, and are great for a palate cleanser or a book slump, unless you hate them.
Mm-hmm.
The hero makes a few morally black choices in the name of love and thinks it's completely normal behavior. Do not expect him to have a moral compass. You might have a good time, you might not. Good luck.
Yeah, I'm in. Buckle up.
in.
I got the shirt.
I loved that. We're just like, he's not going to have like a come to Jesus moment. Like, this is who it is. You might like it. You might hate it. I don't give a fuck.
Right.
Enjoy.
I don't want to hear about it.
And I really respect that from an author.
Yeah.
I feel like, I can't think of the book now, but I feel like there was one disclaimer for a book we read at some point in our Spice Trader's career that felt like they were almost kind of like defending themselves against haters before they got hate. And it was like too much. I'd much rather have this like, you'll like it or you won't.
Like it or don't, doesn't matter to me. Like, moving on.
Like, I like it and some people will too.
Right. Yeah. I remember like the vibe of that book that you're talking about, but I don't remember which one it was in particular. But yeah, it's like, it's just kind of refreshing to have an author who's just like so above it, you know?
Mm-hmm. And I really appreciate an author who's self-aware of what they created. Like,
yeah,
she's not pretending that she created some high fantasy, intricate mystery. She's like, no. I created this cozy little story about fae and romance. There's a lot of smut and not much else.
Yeah, like she's not winning like any high literary awards for this. And honestly, good. Like,
good. She's not trying to.
Yeah.
We need that.
We need more of that.
More of that and less 800 pages of world building that don't matter.
Ugh,
that's not a knock against what we're reading recently, but against some other books, it is a knock. It was not a dig against Guild so far.
So then we get into the book. And for those of you who listened to Viciously Yours or read that book, this book really generally follows the same plot, almost down to like a beat. But look, still a good time. I'm not judging it for that.
The same story.
It's the same story. It's fine. We start with our young female main character, Fawn. She's 13 and she is half fae, half human, and she's being made fun of for her teeth by some other kids at school. As a reaction, she imagines what it would be like if her taunter didn't have any front teeth and ends up glamoring him to make it seem like that happened. And so the long and the short of it is like she has a little bit of magic, and so her parents decide to move her back into the Feylands to try to develop that as much as possible. You'll remember, or maybe you don't, I'll just say in this book, Fey magic is tied to the land very much and to the monarch. So if Fey live outside of the Fey kingdoms, then their magic is not going to develop as well as if they lived there. On the way, so they move in with Fawn's grandparents who own a horse farm. And on the way, we get an adorable interaction with Fawn and her parents. And it truly seems like they have a wonderful family dynamic, which immediately made me think that her parents needed to die.
Yeah, right away I was like, this is too comfy. It's the start of a Disney movie. It's like the start of Bambi. You know Bambi's mom is going to die. It's too happy.
Totally. Yeah, or the start of Frozen, or the start of The Lion King, or the start of, wait a minute.
Every other
all
movie.
Of them.
Yeah. Also, the name of the book is Tragically Yours. I'm like, this isn't gonna be a happy family.
No. Yeah. So we switch to Dean, who is the prince of the Garden Kingdom. He is experiencing some emotions of fun through he and Fawn's mating bond. But similar to Viciously Yours, even though Dean got the name of his mate when he was 13, Fawn, there's no record of her in any of the Fey kingdoms, and his parents have not been able to locate her in the human kingdom as well.
Okay. This book does not ask for a lot of questions, but there's like 5 things that I wish we had answers to.
One of the questions that I wish we had answers to is, why is it only the dude that gets the name?
Yeah.
Or does the other side get it, and because they're not royal, they don't know that they're going to get it, and so they just like dream it, or they think somebody said it like in passing?
Oh, that would be interesting. Which, like, again, I don't need that much world building in here, but that, and then like for this, why is there no record of her being born? Granted, that's from her parents, his parents, which we know that's a problem. But like we had the same problem in the first book, where how does the human kingdom just not keep records? I think that's what's happening.
Possibly. I mean, it could also be the thing that like, I mean, I don't know. So many things could have happened, but it's just like, what a convenient thing for like this person to not exist.
Yeah.
So Dean's best friend, Braddock, tells Dean that if he can't find Fawn, then he'll have to marry somebody else. And he's like, you could marry my cousin Callie. She's nice. Cool. Boy, 13-year-old boys. This conversation, this riveting conversation is interrupted by Dean's daddy, the king, who's upset that Dean was laughing. Can you believe it? Laughing.
Disgraceful.
When he should be training. Disgraceful. Oh my God. Gonna tank the whole kingdom.
Right? Immediately.
So he takes Dean to be trained/punished by General Craven. And these sessions are brutal and abusive, and it's his father's way of trying to mold Dean into a monarch that, you know, Dean's dad sees fit to rule.
We'll get more about General Craven, and I will say, for such a simple book, he's a fascinating character. Like, if this were a more complex book, I would be really interested to learn more about General Craven.
Me too. Back to Fawn, who lives with her parents on her grandparents' horse farm in the Mountain Kingdom, and they live literally right next to the castle, and they provide the castle with horses. Fawn tells us that though she enjoys being around horses and working with them, she does not like riding because she's afraid of heights, and these horses are described as being fucking massive.
Like 2 or 3 times as tall as regular human horses.
Right, and I can't really blame her for not wanting to ride them, but it is weird to me that she's comfortable around horses but just not on them.
I know, because horses in and of themselves are kind of intimidating anyway, even like regular non-fey horses. Mm-hmm. But she's cool with like training them and brushing them and grooming them.
Yeah. And to me, it feels like it would be almost be more intimidating if you were underfoot of those things than on top of them. But
Yeah.
to each
But
their
what
own,
do I
guess.
know?
What would I know? So that night, Fawn's father suggests they go into the village for dinner. Fawn is ecstatic about this, but as they head inside, she sees the shadows of people in their fields sneaking toward the palace. She realizes pretty quickly that it's rebels trying to sneak into the palace to harm the royal family, and so her father, mother, and grandfather intervene while she and her grandmother hide inside. But as Fawn runs into the house, she bumps her head and blacks out. Unfortunately, when she wakes up, her grandmother tells her that her parents were killed in the attack. Fawn feels an overwhelming sense of grief. She tells us, quote, 3 people died yesterday, but only 2 stopped breathing. She sees their death as partially her fault because she couldn't contain her emotions as a 13-year-old child. And so rather than deal with that, she shoves her emotions down into a box that she doesn't allow herself to open.
That's gonna work out so well.
So well. So, on the other side of things, Dean goes from feeling something very intense to feeling nothing at all, and he fears that Fawn has died.
Also, just really quick. So, mates can feel each other's emotions. Fawn has been feeling Dean's emotions and tried to talk to her mom, and her mom was like, that's just puberty. Don't worry about it.
I'm like, Fawn's mom, what the fuck?
I know. That's why I had to bring it up because I was like, make fucking excuse me?
She's just like, oh, it's just hormones. You'll grow out of it. I'm like,
It's just your women's time.
what is your puberty like? Like, what
Listen,
the fuck?
I don't have, like, okay, my emotions got out of whack, but I knew they were mine.
Right. I wasn't feeling something that was completely foreign and I didn't know where it was coming from. Like,
Yeah.
okay.
Like, just ask a follow-up question, Fawn's mom.
So Dean's suspicion that Fawn is dead is seemingly confirmed because 2 weeks later, he's called into his father's office and the king tells him that they found Fawn, but that she died in a carriage accident along with her parents. Cool. Awesome.
Great. We know she's not dead, nor was there a carriage accident.
Right. So we fast forward to 15 and Dean is being punished by General Craven. This is when his familiar, a giant black and blue snake named Cassandra, shows up. She offers to kill General Craven for Dean, but he knows that would be more trouble than it's worth, and so he calls her off. But Dean does use this as an opportunity to tell his father and General Craven that he won't be doing those trainings anymore. And though initially his father tries to strong-arm him, Cassandra intervenes, and the king knows that his son is no longer fully under his control.
Good. I fucking love Cassandra.
Me too. She's the best.
Even though she's kind of useless, she's also the best.
We'll get to her uselessness in just a second, but it's useless in a very hilarious way.
It's amazing.
I think it makes up for the fact that she's so deadly because, like, in this, like, brief scene, we learn that Dean's dad has a familiar that's like a fucking stag. And I'm like, you can't just have a stag walking around in the palace. Like, that's so useless.
I was trying to picture that too, because we don't really see, I guess only royals get familiars, but we don't see anyone else's familiar like ever in either of the books we've read. It's like, where is your stag? Just like with the horses? Like, where does he stay? He probably can't fit through doors very well.
You're definitely not using him to spy on your enemies. Like,
No. That fox one from the first book, I think, is the most effective. Not deadly, but effective for like spying and shit.
Definitely. So this conversation is interrupted by Lilith, who is a fallen fate from the heavens and has revealed herself to Dean for the first time just now. But it's clear that Dean's dad has known Lilith for a long time. Lilith tells Dean's father that he essentially has to cool it and let Dean be his own man. Otherwise, Dean will kill himself.
Yeah, that was a really dark turn.
Yeah. So essentially, like, Lilith is like a soothsayer, and she tells us later that she has some idea of what's going on or what will happen, but it's never precise and it's never like 100% clear, and it's not for everything. Like, there are apparently rules that she has to follow, but those are very opaque to us.
Yeah, I think they're opaque to her too in a lot of ways.
Yeah, that's a fair point. So back to Fawn, who's completely emotionally stunted for the past couple of years, and she overhears her grandmother and grandfather talking about it. They're worried because she's been completely emotionally stunted for the past couple of years. So she decides to fake it for them. And I'm like, girl.
Okay. Also, grandparents, I love that you're thinking about this. You've let her be despondent for 2 years and you're still just like casually talking about how you're worried. They're like, maybe we should bring her to the village more often. I'm like, it's been 2 years.
Oh, okay, so is she emotionally stunted and you don't let her get out of the house? Like,
yeah, like what is happening here? And does she not go to school?
this is bizarre.
Yeah, no wonder she's emotionally stunted.
Yeah. And so when Fawn like starts to fake it, she starts to feel genuine emotions. Sometimes it's even joy. And these end up filtering up to Dean. And it's confusing for him because he's been told that Fawn is dead. And so essentially his therapist or someone is like, you should write a letter about it. And so we see some of those letters and they're signed, quote, "Tragically yours."
Which is a nice homage to Viciously Yours, which also had a lot of letters.
Right. But I love that. I forget who he told and they're like, weird. You should write letters about it. I'm like, oh my God.
It is like a therapist, basically. He calls him like a healer that specializes in emotions or something like that. I'm like, okay, so
Yeah.
a therapist.
Right, a therapist. Okay, cool. So on the other end of the bond, Fawn is feeling Dean's emotions as well, sorrow, longing, but she has no idea where those are coming from or like what to think. And it, like you said, doesn't help that their mom is like, or her grandmother at this point is like, well, it's just puberty, honey. You'll get over it.
Don't worry about it.
In Fawn's early 20s, we learned that she's taken a job at the palace. And indeed, this is where we meet her in the first book because she's appointed as like a lady's maid to the human main character in that book. I think that person's name was Amelia.
Yeah, I think it was Amelia.
Okay. So one day she gets off work from the palace and she goes into town and stumbles into a pleasure house. She's invited inside and she's intrigued, and she tells us that she's had sex, but it hasn't been anything to write home about. But the way that these people look and act, like she's like, there's got to be something to it.
I'm just missing a key point.
Once she's inside, she sees the dancers and she's entirely enthralled. And from that day forward, she becomes a dancer herself.
Which I was like, go girl. I didn't expect that.
Get it, girl. Okay. Yeah. So then we see Dean, who is now 24, and his father is telling him that it's time to learn about Lilith and to take a wife. So he gives Dean a list of names for who would be suitable for him to consider and tells Dean that he must be wed in a year so that he can take the throne. Dean notices that Braddock's cousin Callie's name is on the list. Then his father takes him down to like the dungeons, and there's like a grotto where Lilith lives down there, and he leaves them alone to speak.
I didn't understand where she lived because it sounded like a grotto to me, but then it's just like a regular living room.
Well, it's definitely
shit?
underground. And I was like, if I was basically an immortal, I wouldn't live underground.
No, I wouldn't either.
So in essentially Lilith's living room, Dean notices that there are pictures of monarchs on the wall, but noticeably his parents are absent. And Lilith is like, yes, they are. End of conversation.
Because they suck.
She then shares with Dean that the Fae came into existence because Cain, a god, had an affair with a human, and that child started the Garden Kingdom. Thus, the Fae line from the Garden Kingdom is the most powerful because it's the first and most ancient.
They're special.
Lilith then tells Dean that he must be betrothed before he takes the throne. And the consequence of him not doing that is that Eden will fall. And so they refer to the Garden Kingdom as Eden sometimes. And I think this is kind of the thing that gets a little bit old about Lilith as a character, because everything she says has to be followed with like, you know, if you don't do this, a catastrophe is going to happen. Like there's no gray area with this bitch.
No. And like when we were first introduced to her, it seems like there should be some gray area, but there's not.
No. It's like, I mean, like we first saw her and she was like, yo, you got to lighten up. Otherwise, Dean's going to kill himself. This time it's like, well, if you don't get betrothed by the time you take the throne, then like your entire kingdom is going to combust. And it's like,
good luck.
Okay. No pressure.
And later, there's other things I have to do where like, she has to stay or else everything will end. What?
He's like, everything? She's like, everything.
Everything, Dean.
It's all because of you and your decisions.
You're the problem here.
God. So Dean's like, how do I know that you're not lying? And she just smiles at him and says, you don't.
Again, I kind of like Lilith. Because, like, what are you supposed to do with that? Like, I guess you listen to her just in case. But, like, how do you know she's not evil? She's not. It's very straightforward. But, like, your dad's evil.
Yeah. I mean, like, I just love the idea that maybe she, like, fudges the lines sometimes.
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
Just her funsies. Like, maybe some of it's just a little self-serving because she just wants the drama. She wants to watch the tea. She
wants the tea to happen. And so she says, if you don't do this, you'll die. Yes? Is that sufficient? Yes, it's sufficient.
Does that work for you? Good. You fell for it.
Yes.
Get to my popcorn.
So we next see Fawn with her fiance, Warren. Yes, fiance.
Oh, affianced.
Affianced. Warren tries to kiss Fawn's neck, and she tells us that she doesn't like that and how she's told Warren this before, and so it makes her feel unseen and unheard. And I'm like, fine, cool, whatever. But she brings up this thing, the neck thing, and it comes up again a little bit later. It comes off as her being like a little bit OCD or for her being like a little bit differently abled, but like it just was never that big of a deal. Like she brings it up. It seems like a big deal. It's not actually a big deal. And so I'm not really sure what to make of that.
No, and it was a little confusing for me too. Like I kind of was hoping we were going to get some backstory on the neck thing. Like, is there a reason with your neck? Because it comes up again multiple times. But then the only other OCD-ish thing is sometimes she doesn't like certain fabrics on her. Like she feels constrained and she'll start to freak out. I thought that was just a product of her repressing her emotions for 13 years. So she has like an anxiety disorder. But I don't think that's what it is. I think it's like a texture thing. But it was a weird character trait and I don't think it was necessary.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. It just was. It didn't feel very well integrated into the story. And I'm not saying that you have to be differently abled as a plot point. That's not what I'm saying at all. It just was like, I wanted a little bit more about that.
Yeah, because even in her internal monologue, like she doesn't even explain it to herself.
Right. Yeah.
Which just, it read to me as if we were missing information, like a chapter got cut out or something. And that's where it gets distracting.
It's a really good way to put it. So anyway, they're waking up together, she and Warren tells Fawn that he has to run an errand and that he'll see her later so that they can go on a trip together. Kind of an impromptu thing to the human kingdom. She hasn't been back since she was little, and so Warren was like, you know, this can be a surprise pre-honeymoon thing because, like, after we get married, like, I've got work to do and we don't really have time.
I'm busy.
So Fawn's getting ready a little bit later. She finds something of Warren's that he left behind and decides to go to his house early to drop it off. When she gets there, she overhears Warren arguing with another woman, and it quickly becomes clear that these two are married and that she, Fawn, is the other woman in their relationship. Oops. So she barges in just as Warren tells this woman, Naomi, that he's taking Fawn to the human kingdom to kill her.
Whoops.
Which escalated like at light speed for me.
It went like 0 to 100.
Real fucking quick. But so what I love, though, is that both Fawn and Naomi are like equally horrified. And then things go from that 100 place to like 200 really fucking fast because Naomi just fucking kills Warren.
She straight up stabs him in the back.
Yep. And so he dies. And this is an immediate bonding experience for Fawn and Naomi. And to make it better, they go to Fawn's grandparents to ask them to help them try to hide the body, which they do.
So it's just so fucking out of left field.
How did you two meet?
Well, you see, we were sleeping with the same man, and he was gonna kill me, and so
in self-defense.
In self-defense. But not in a court of law.
No. No. He left of his own volition.
And no one has heard from him again.
Right.
And the fact that they go to their grandparents and grandpa's just like, I'm on it.
Right.
No follow-up questions.
No follow-up questions. And then her grandparents are like, well, so Naomi should probably live with us now because we all share a secret and it's easier that way.
Well, then it doesn't matter. But later we see them all together and Naomi calls them like grandma and grandpa. Like she just is the family now.
Which I love because we complain so often about our female main characters having zero friends. And I feel like Naomi is a true friend because literally ride or die. You got a problem with somebody, call me. I got a shovel in a manure pit. Like, let's go.
I'm going to kill my literal husband because he threatened you. Let's go.
I don't know you.
I've never met you before.
You're my sister. Yeah.
Now you're my sister. I love it. Yeah. It was so nice that she has a real friend with such a fun backstory, a fun origin tale.
Well, and Naomi continues to be that unhinged friend, which I love.
Oh, yeah. Give me more about Naomi.
Yeah.
Does she have a book? I'll read her book.
I'll read her book, too. So we get another letter from Dean to Fawn, and he tells her that he's engaged to Callie. He says, like, I can't give up on trying to find you, and I'm going to look for you before I marry Callie. I would regret it if I didn't. And he also says that he's made no bones about like how he actually feels to Callie. Specifically, he said, like, I don't have any affection for you. I'm doing this because I have to. Which he sees as a level of respect. I also see it as a level of respect, but I don't know how Callie is like. She's clearly deluded still.
Callie is deluded until the very last chapter, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. Because, and like we even see like right after we read this letter, we see a brief interaction with them. And it's clear that Dean is like not lying to Fawn in his letter. Like he does treat Callie like they are in a business arrangement. And it's so obvious she's deeply in love with him.
Yeah. But he's not leading her on in any way. Like he's respectful to her, but he's not like flirtatious. He's not affectionate. They've never like kissed.
Right. Yeah. So fast forward to the crowning of Amelia, which happened in the first book in the series that we read last year. And Fawn is invited again because Amelia has a Fawn spot for her and like she's her lady in waiting or whatever. It's very strange.
Amelia has no real friends. She has servants.
Yes, she has servants. That's true. So we saw this party at the end of the first book, and that we saw Dean recognizing Fawn and declaring that she's his mate. And so we essentially see that scene again, but from the perspective of Dean and Fawn, which is really fun, I think.
It was really fun. I actually jumped back to Viciously Yours because I wanted to like see how that looked from Amelia's perspective. So I read that, and it's a really fun tie-in.
Yeah. So after this, Dean and Fawn are given privacy in a different room where they can essentially introduce each other to each other.
Awkward.
Great. Dean tells her that he's the king of the Garden Kingdom, and Fawn is confused because she's only half fae, right? She's half human too. So she shouldn't be able to be a mate because it's just for like the purest of the pure fae to do that.
Which I did because I kind of forgot what happened in the first book. I was like, girl, you were just at like the wedding of a human queen. But then I forgot that she's like a long lost daughter of some bullshit.
Yeah. And had her ears clipped.
Gross. But the rules in this world are not consistent. And not in a bad way. Like for the characters themselves, they're like, what? And I appreciate that.
Yeah. And I feel like
it's weird.
I feel like that's an interesting loophole because like I'm sure other books in the series will exploit it a little bit, and I'm interested to see how far they can go.
And me too.
Anyway, Fawn asks why Dean didn't come for her sooner, right? Because they are given the name of their mate, at least the dudes are when they're 13. Like, what's up? And he tells her, look, we looked, we couldn't find you, and then when we did find you, you were dead. So during this exchange, Fawn can feel Dean's emotions more acutely and clearly, and it doesn't take very much to convince her that what he says is true. She admits aloud, quote, you are my mate, and he tells her, quote, you are my queen.
And she's like, queen? I can't be a queen.
That's really when the reality of her situation sinks in, and she was not prepared for that, right? Like, mate is one thing, queen is another.
Fair.
Dean tries to tell her it doesn't matter who she is or where she grew up, that she'll be perfect for him and his kingdom.
Aww.
He goes on to ask about her family, and so she immediately takes him to their ranch. And I was like, okay, you can, whatever, fine.
It's like nighttime.
Yeah. And Dean, so they go inside and Dean just fully introduces himself as the king of the Garden Kingdom with his full chest and like says that he and Fawn are mated. And Fawn's grandpa is literally like, quote, I think we better sit down and talk.
Yeah, like calm down. There was no no time.
Yeah, that's got like, this is just such a wild thing to think about actually happening in real life.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
Like, don't worry about it.
It's going to be fine.
Yeah, so the grandparents ask essentially some of the same questions that Fawn had, and this is when Dean reveals his certainty that somebody lied about her death. But he's not certain who or to what end, but he promises to find out. Fawn's grandfather then asks if Dean will protect Fawn with his life, and Dean swears to it. Then it comes out about Warren and how somebody sent him to kill Fawn and that they/Naomi killed him in return. And that ever since he's been at the bottom of their manure pile and Naomi's been living with them. Hi.
Hey, brother-in-law.
We learned that Warren was in the military, essentially, of the Garden Kingdom, and so Dean vows to follow that lead. He's like, that's strange, but just more indication that somebody within the Garden Kingdom is plotting against him. So they go on to talk about marriage, and Fawn's like, what? We just met. And everybody like, slow the fuck down. But her grandmother's like, honey, you don't have a choice. And Dean says, quote, she'll always have a choice. My job is to convince her to choose me.
Oh,
Which is the right answer.
it was the right answer. Yay. Oh, babe. How'd you know I wanted one? It's the link. Thank you.
Hi. Did he bring you a soda treat?
He did bring me a soda treat.
Yay.
He loves me. He really loves me.
He loves me. So then we cut to a conversation between General Craven and a nobleman named Samuel in the Garden Kingdom. Samuel is upset that Fawn still lives, and it becomes clear that he's the one that sent Warren after her. He's now commanding General Craven to get Fawn out of the way himself. Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun.
We go back to Fawn and Dean, who are traveling back to the Garden Kingdom along with Naomi. Obviously, Naomi's going to come because she's Fawn's only friend. And what is she going to do? Just stay with grandparents that aren't hers? That's weird.
That's weird.
They talk about Dean's parents and how he doesn't get along with them, especially his father, because his father's an abusive asshole and his mother just never protected him from it.
Therefore, still an abusive asshole. Yep. I think.
Agreed. He goes on to say that during those dark formative years, Fawn was one of the only things that gave him something to hold on to, some happiness. Dean gets in touch with Cassandra, his familiar, who's still back at the ranch at the Garden Palace, and asks her to look at some of these leads for him about, who's trying to murder Fawn. And this is when it becomes obvious that Cassandra doesn't have ears, so she can't drop her eaves. And she also doesn't read, so she can't go rifling through papers. And Dean is essentially like, God, what a useless familiar.
It's such a funny conversation because he's like, no, but you'll respond to things that people say. And she's like, yeah, I'm linked to you. You have ears. When I'm alone.
Dumbass.
Yeah. And she's even like he can like cue into her side. She's like, do you hear anything? Have you never noticed that you don't hear anything from me? And he's like, well, you can read, right? And she's like, I'm a snake.
Why would I be able to read?
You idiot.
Okay, but in our debrief, to your point, I thought it was so funny because she's like a magical being, right? Like
she should be able to hear, I think, because she's magical.
Well, and it's like, if you can share consciousnesses, can't you just share tacit like knowledge like that? Like if she's connected mentally to Dean, can't he just port over like how to read to her?
I wanted to know that too. And I mean, she does have some magical ability. She can like change her venom to do different things, but she can't grow an ear.
Yeah, exactly.
What?
So that was just a wild thing to happen. So anyway, so she can't do any research, essentially.
She's useless. She's just a snake.
Yeah, just a snake. They stop in an inn overnight, but not for very long, because Dean is very keen to get Fawn into the Garden Kingdom, where he feels more in control of her safety. As they get ready for bed, he helps Fawn find something to sleep in and pulls out a silk nightgown, like a sexy one, from her little side hobby day job.
Her dancing days.
Yeah. Anyway, so we mentioned that Fawn has this job, right? But she's like really into it. So she's got like all of this sexy underwear that like doesn't make sense for her to have, and Dean just keeps finding it and is just like, what
You're
why
a
do you have
maid
this?
who grew up on a horse ranch. I can't handle it.
I can't handle it. And it's also really funny because at some point Dean asks her if she has any hobbies, and she thinks about dancing, but then she's like, nope, no, I don't have any hobbies. I'm pretty boring.
Which is fucking wild. Like, that's a red flag to me if you don't have any hobbies. I don't care what it is. You need to do something.
But I think it's funny for two reasons. I think it would have been funny, one, if she was just trying to like hide the fact that she dances from him, but that's not the case because she's not embarrassed about it.
No, I don't think it even crosses her mind.
That it's a hobby.
Yeah.
Which is even more funny.
Exactly. Oh, for fun, I'm a stripper.
I'm a stripper. No, pretty boring. That doesn't count as a hobby.
No.
That's just something I like to do.
Define hobby.
Anyway, so they take turns taking baths, and of course, Dean is ever the gentleman and turns around while Fawn is naked, etc. But it's the one room trope, if not the one bed trope. So, like, when Dean takes his clothes off to bathe, that's when Fawn sees, like, his body, and what she sees actually is, like, all of the little scars on his skin inflicted by General Craven.
Dick.
So they talk about what to expect when they get to the Garden Kingdom, and Dean tells her that there's a lot of stuck-up motherfuckers in the Garden Kingdom because they're the oldest Fae, but that his best friend Braddock, his Biffle, his ride or die, isn't like that. He's different. They then talk about having kids, and I think it's pretty clear that they both know that royals only have one biological kid, but Fawn suggests that they could adopt more, and Dean really likes that idea.
Dean is all in the camp of like, I had a shitty childhood and I want to give as many kids the best childhood as possible.
I love that. And I had that thought with Amelia and whatever the fuck his name was. Because they're like, oh, only one kid. There's nothing we can do about that. I'm like, I'm sure there's a lot of homeless kids in your kingdom.
Which is wild because didn't Amelia like grow up in an orphanage?
Yes, she did.
But oh no, there's no option if we can only have one.
There's nothing we can do about that.
Sorry.
Okay. So when they get to the Garden Kingdom, Callie is there and treats Dean like a fiance would, greets him with a kiss. Despite the fact that Dean tried to send a letter to Braddock to get Callie out of the palace for this, which obviously didn't happen, and so this is not ideal. Naomi immediately goes like attack mode on Dean and has to be physically restrained by Cassandra, and Fawn is devastated and angry. She's like, God damn it, not again. Why do I keep doing this?
Keep falling for taken men.
Right? So they all go inside while Braddock takes Callie aside. And this is when Dean tells her who Callie is and that they were betrothed, but now that he's found Fawn, obviously that's not the case. And he's never had feelings for Callie and never told her anything different, etc., etc. Fawn rightfully asks, why didn't you bring this up earlier? And he stupidly says that he thought that she would take it better if he could say that he used to be engaged rather than he is currently engaged.
What an idiot.
Yeah. And he's such an idiot that Fawn and Naomi ultimately believe his earnestness.
Because he does... Okay, I did have the thought within here, since they can feel each other's feelings, it would make arguments a lot easier to like feel like I genuinely feel bad about this in this moment, and you feel that with more than my words. That'd be kind of convenient.
It would be super convenient, yeah.
Because then it's like, okay, you're just an idiot, but like I forgive you.
But you're not lying, right?
Yeah, you're not actually hiding anything from me. You're just stupid.
So Dean and Fawn go back to their chambers to unpack, and this is when we get like a Christmas Story-esque scene where Fawn literally tries to wash Dean's mouth out with soap because he called Callie an endearing term.
Manic Pixie Dream Girl.
Yeah. Dean tries to explain like, look, I call everybody sweetheart. Like it's not an endearing thing. But it is my thing. And Fawn's like, well, it's no longer your thing, sweetheart.
And it's really cute because Dean has actually never called Fawn sweetheart. He's only called her like darling.
Yeah.
And we've seen him call other people sweetheart beyond Callie, but then sweetheart becomes like Fawn's name for him for the rest of the book.
I know. She's just like, well, I'm going to use this and rub your nose in it. It's going to be fun.
Forever.
Yeah. So they're soon joined by Braddock and his husband, Monroe. And Monroe is probably my favorite character in this entire book.
Okay, so like Braddock, up to this point, he's huge. He's a strong fighter. He's super cocky. I did not expect him to be gay and for his husband to wear gowns.
Yeah. I mean, so Monroe is essentially Nathan Lane from The Birdcage.
That's what I pictured too.
He's just perfect.
He's perfect. And he's so like cheerful and happy to Braddock's like surly. It's definitely the Grumpy Sunshine Black Cat Golden Retriever combo.
Yeah.
And I loved Monroe.
Uh-huh. Yeah. So they show up to reprimand Dean for the way he treated Callie, and Dean says, look, I wasn't expecting her to be here because I wrote you a fucking letter to get her the fuck out of the palace. But they never got that letter, and we never go back to this. And at the end of the book, I'm still like, why didn't they get the letter? Is this political intrigue or is the postal system just shit?
I know. That was so, like I said, I have like 4 questions within here. That was my second question. I can only assume it was intercepted, but it's never referenced again.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a couple of things in here that of the political intrigue side, quote unquote, that feel like there maybe was a string that was connecting them, but for brevity, like they got cut out. And like, look, I'm not here for the political intrigue in this book necessarily. It just felt like the puzzle pieces were there, they just weren't connected.
Exactly, because you could give me the bare bones, which is what we get, but there's a few that are missing.
Yeah. So anyway, this is when we learn that there are rumors circulating that Dean is just punishing Callie and pushing her aside for a human whore rather than Fawn being his actual true mate.
Oof.
Fawn's like, okay, I'm going to leave because I don't need that in my life. And Dean's like, no, stay. And the entire back and forth that they're having, Dean is like counting for a reason that was immediately clear to me, but Fawn was totally in the dark.
I knew where this was going.
Yeah. And Fawn doesn't know until literally somebody smacks her ass.
And says 1.
Yes. So this entire interaction is interrupted by Lilith, who has the worst timing and tells Dean that she needs to meet with him alone. So while he does that, he leaves her with his familiar Cassandra and Braddock. Dean meets with Lilith, and Lilith says that he needs to keep Callie close at the palace for reasons she can't tell him. But if he doesn't, it will result in the death of Fawn. Also, he can't tell Fawn about this at all. Cool.
And this is where Lilith is just a problem because everything is a catastrophe, but I can't tell you why. You just gotta trust me. Or don't, and your wife will die.
Right. And also you can't tell your wife.
You can't tell your wife while your
die.
ex-fiance has to live in her house.
And this is one of those moments where I'm like, does that actually have to happen, or do you just have your popcorn?
I think she just has her popcorn because even Dean is like, what am I supposed to tell Fawn? And she's like, I don't know, think of something.
I'm sure you'll think of something. You're a smart boy.
Is he?
Debatable. So while Dean meets with Lilith, Fawn convinced her guards to go look for Naomi. And so when Dean actually gets back to their room, Fawn is gone. He immediately starts to panic. They quickly reunite, but Fawn basically tells him, like, look, you got to get a grip because I'm not going to be a prisoner in my own goddamn room. Like, you got to chill.
You got to chill. He is too much.
But I kind of get where he's coming from because he's got Lilith in his ear constantly telling him that, like, Fawn is at risk of death.
Yeah, and she did have someone literally try to murder her like last year.
Yeah, that's true. So they go to the dining hall with the intention of introducing Fawn to some of the household. This includes a traveling princess named Violet and her 2 escorts. And so I couldn't tell if Violet and her escorts were having like a throuple situation, or like later it's alluded that Violet is a twin and her sister is like the mate of a prince, and that prince might actually be in love with Violet. There's something interesting there.
There's something interesting there. And I will say, even though these books are so like, it's the same plot we've read before, I kind of want to read more.
Yeah, no, it's super fun.
And Violet has a book. I think Violet's book might be the second book.
Oh, interesting. That kind of makes sense because I think we read the name Violet and we initially thought that they were like Amelia's kid.
Yes.
Or something.
It was something like that. I was also a little confused here a little bit later because she has like these 2 escorts. And then later we're introduced to these like tiger things. And I was like, are her escorts tigers? I thought they were people. But that's just a product of me reading too fast.
Yeah, she's got like a tiger thing traveling with her. And that's the king's familiar. Or like the prince that's mated to her sister, her twin sister's familiar.
Which is weird because like, why would your mate's it just there's something suspicious going on.
There's
with
something
all
there.
Of these guys.
Mm-hmm.
There's something there.
Yeah.
And we're gonna get to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anyway, Fawn is anxious because she doesn't know if Dean's parents are going to be at this dinner. And this is when we learn that they're traveling to the Desert Kingdom for that king's funeral. You'll remember that we learned at the end of the first book and the beginning of this one that the Desert Prince committed patricide because his daddy was a dickbag, which seems to be kind of a trend.
Yeah, all these I would say first generation. The previous generation kings all seem to be assholes, and the new generation seem to be better, thankfully.
Yeah. So unfortunately, Callie and her younger sister are at this dinner as well. And Callie takes every opportunity to try to like poke fun at Fawn. But the evening is pleasant enough. And after speaking with the others at the table, Fawn realizes, quote, how half-lived her life has been.
Oh.
Yeah, girl, people are fun sometimes. The right people are fun.
The right people are fun.
The next day, she and Naomi and Dean go to the stables, and there they meet a gentleman named Jeremiah. And it's clear right away that Naomi has a thing for Jeremiah, which I also am into.
I'm super into that.
And this is where we learn that Dean is very fond of riding, and Fawn immediately realizes that she's got to get over her fear of riding so that she can go with Dean.
That's cute.
Yeah. That evening, we finally get the first scene between them where Dean admits that he doesn't want to pressure Fawn into sex, and Fawn admits that she wants him sexually, but also feels the connection of the mating bond. So even earlier, when she threatened to leave because of the whole rumors swirling around the palace, she wasn't actually serious. So they give in to their feelings for each other.
And it's nice.
Yeah. Look, Applegate Hunter writes great smut. So
she does write great smut. I do want to say, and this is probably rude to this fictional character of Dean, but they have a really great like foreplay in their scenes. But then whenever they have penetrative sex, he like comes immediately. Like,
yeah.
Like he does have that like magical fey ability to like get hard again immediately. But it's like they'll have 3 pages of foreplay and then he'll enter her and then he'll like immediately come. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Which I appreciated because I feel like he's self-aware. He's like, okay, I got to make you feel good before we're done.
Which is great. And like, she's not having a bad time with it at all. And neither did I. I just thought it was funny.
Yeah. So in the morning, before they go to breakfast, Dean surprises Fawn with a present that he finds charming and she finds revolting. It's a set of handcuffs, and they both wear a side of them, essentially, so that Dean can keep track of Fawn and her safety. And Fawn is enraged. So Dean ends up physically carrying her into the breakfast room because she essentially is like, I'm not fucking moving until you take this thing off.
Which I don't blame her because that would be mortifying. And then we also get that weird OCD where she like starts to freak out, but he doesn't seem to feel those emotions.
Yeah, exactly. So pertinent to that, at breakfast, Fawn tries to saw off her handcuff with a butter knife, but it slips and she stabs Dean in the side.
I was so surprised this happened. I was like, I'm sorry, what?
Excuse me? But okay, but it gets worse because Callie is the palace mender also. And so she rushes over and has to like tend to Dean's wounds, even though he's like not mortally wounded. She makes a bigger deal out of it than it should be.
It's a butter knife. Like, I'm sure it didn't feel great, but he's fine.
Yeah. But it does have the effect that Dean's like, okay, we won't do the handcuff thing.
But I really like how he handles it because like she stabs him enough that he is bleeding and needs help. And he's like, oh, honey, I didn't know you were into blood play. As he's like
you're ridiculous.
And Callie's like, what the fuck happened? And he's like, just foreplay. Don't worry about it.
Don't worry, darling. So later that day, Fawn goes into town with Violet, Naomi, Monroe, and Braddock, ostensibly to look for clothes because she was from the Mountain Kingdom, which is hot, and they're in the Garden Kingdom, which is... No, sorry. Mountain Kingdom, which is cold, in the Garden Kingdom, which is hot. There we go. And they ostensibly leave Dean at the castle to do kingly stuff. But, of course, Dean glamours himself invisible and follows them anyway. He witnesses Fawn get into a verbal altercation with Callie at the dress store, and that's when he chooses to reveal himself. But it's clear to both Dean and Fawn that Callie is just genuinely hurt and heartbroken over you losing Dean and isn't, like, actually a threat.
Yeah, it's really obvious to us as the reader as well. And, like, I feel kind of bad for Callie. I would be mad, too. And I would also probably be trying to pick at Fawn just because that's what humans do when they're hurt.
Yeah, and she has a valid reason to be hurt, right? Like, just because she's not his mate doesn't mean that she can't have genuine feelings for him.
Exactly. And, like, you showed up with a new woman and I had no warning. Like, that's painful.
Yeah, yeah, that's kind of a dick move, dude.
Yeah.
So they leave the dressmakers and Dean can tell that something is bothering Fawn, so he asks her to hang back from the others so they can talk about it. She asks why Callie is still at the palace, and he eventually tells her that it's politically motivated to keep Callie around, which is not technically a lie, but it's not the full truth either.
Because he's not allowed to say that if I kick her out, you will die somehow.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
So then they end up fucking against the wall in an alley.
They have sex in the weirdest places.
They super do. And look, it's one thing to have sex in the alley and like it's dark and nobody can see you or you're like glamored and visible. No, they do so fully visible, just glamored as regular people.
Yeah, so everyone can see them. They just don't look like them.
Right. And they do get a couple of onlookers. And it's clear during the scene that they're both kind of into the voyeurism thing.
Yeah, cue the public sex act.
Yeah, cue the public sex act for real. But yeah, this scene is hot.
It's really hot.
Really good.
All of their scenes are really hot.
Yeah, they're really good. Even the one that's weird with the saddle coming up.
Yeah, and the one in the bar, that one weirdly did it for me, even though it's so fucking weird.
That one didn't do it for me. I was just, we'll get there when we get there. But that was the only scene I was like, maybe not.
I had to suspend the fact that there were also other people there. When in my head, it was like just the three of them, and that was fucked up enough.
Yeah. But yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
So the next day, all of the dresses that Fawn ordered arrive, and Dean tells her that there's a ball to celebrate the new kings in the mountain and desert kingdoms. Something that his mother had planned, but again, she won't be there.
So don't worry.
Don't worry. But then Dean tells her it's time for her to pay up for all those times he was counting when they were fighting. And this is when the spanking happens.
Which we all knew was coming, except for Fawn.
But
she loves it.
It's so intense, and she loves it so much that she says, I love you. And so does he.
It's an intense spanking.
It's an intense spanking. That evening at the ball, Fawn is nervous, but Dean tells her that everything will be fine. And with a crowd of nobles gathered, he announces that he is so happy to have found his mate, not dead, but hidden away in the Mountain Kingdom, that he makes everybody kneel to her. And she's like, awesome. Like, this is one of those things where he's trying to be sweet, but he's just putting a target on her back.
Yeah, I was like, dude, read the room.
Read the room, dude. And I also love that he's just like so secure in like his ability to handle shit. He's like, don't worry about it. They can come for you and they'll have to deal with me.
Me and my Braddock man.
My Braddock man. So then they receive guests, and one of the first people to come up after this display are Callie's parents. And Fawn's kind of taken aback because they both seem really nice. Like she was kind of expecting them to be dicks.
Yeah, I would too.
Later, as Fawn mingles, somebody comes up to her who's seen her dance at the pleasure house in the Mountain Kingdom and says as much to her. And this is how Dean finds out that she used to be a dancer in pleasure houses. In retaliation, Fawn tells Dean that this man shouldn't be allowed into any pleasure houses in their kingdom or be allowed into the palace at all. And Dean's like, bet. But instead of doing that, he just immediately kills the man.
And she's like, what? He's like, you said that he shouldn't be allowed in these places and now he'll never go into them. What's the problem?
And then I love the description of like people being horrified and like the staff just cleaning up his body and the party continuing.
There's like people sobbing and other people are just like kind of ignoring it and going about their business.
Right. But this is one of those things where like this person ceases to exist and like no one cares. Not really.
Nope. No one cares at all.
So then to cap off the evening, Dean asks Fawn to dance for everyone in the room, like the stripper dances that she did at the pleasure houses. And she does.
I thought that was also so weird. Like, I appreciate a supportive man, but... And like do whatever you want. I'm not judging her for being a dancer. It just seemed like a strange time and place to support her hobby. Like, here's your future queen. Allow her to dance for you.
Right. Do you guys want to see her tits? Like,
yeah.
It's kind of the opposite reaction that we tend to have where like people are like the mailman character is usually like, no one can see her. I want to put her in a fucking burqa so nobody can see her. Right. Like, yeah. And now he's just like, no, look. But I think it's because they're both kind of that voyeurism, like kink.
Yeah,
thing.
I think they found each other in that. Because I kind of thought the dancing was going to be a plot point, that he was going to be like weird and jealous. And he's like, let's go.
Yeah, let's do it. I love it.
All right.
So anyway, a few days later, Fawn and Naomi are walking in the garden and they come upon a tarantula that Fawn immediately takes over as her pet and calls it Tickles.
Tickles.
And it's really funny because Dean is like super afraid of spiders.
He can't handle it. He's like, he only refers to it as a monster. He's like, she needs to put that monster down.
And look, I get it. I'm not a fan of spiders either, but same. I'm the spider slayer in our house. So like there are things that intimidate me more, but certainly a tarantula I would be like not okay with.
No, and it's just like chilling on her shoulder.
Yeah, her and Naomi both are like super chill about it. I'm like, y'all are different humans than me.
No.
So we don't actually ever get this confirmed, but I suspect that Tickles is her familiar. And I find it really funny that Dean is so terrified of her familiar.
It's so funny. And I don't know if you're going to mention it because it's just a subtle thing. Because he is terrified of Tickles. But he also creates like a royal decree that no tarantulas are to be harmed in his kingdom.
Yeah.
And like, well, I built in a house.
I feel like he's doing everything in his power to like make sure that Fawn is happy and like has Tickles in a safe place, but so that Dean doesn't ever have to interact with Tickles ever.
Yeah, Tickles gets its own house somewhere else.
Far away from me.
Do not ever let me see this thing.
Yeah. So later, Dean and Fawn go riding together, and Dean is definitely taking his time making sure that Fawn is comfortable. They don't ride for long, but this first outing gives Dean an idea of how to make Fawn more comfortable with riding more quickly. And so before we get to that, we have another scene. But it's an interesting idea, and I think it's kind of genius.
I think it's kind of genius, too.
Yeah. So the scene that we have to get over before we see that is meeting the parents. Dean's parents have come back, and they join Dean and Fawn for a meal. And it's clear that Dean's mom and Callie are like great friends, the best of friends, actually.
Ew.
Yeah. Dean's dad swears at this meal that he saw the death certificate for Fawn and genuinely thought that she was dead, and apologizes for like essentially believing that.
Yeah, and Fawn seems to sense his genuineness and also believes that he is truly surprised that she's alive, which surprised me.
Yeah, surprised to me too. But then it also two things were happening. I was like, well, if it's not you, then it's someone close to you. And I suspected like General Craven or
that random Samuel.
Yeah, the random Sam guy. But yeah. Anyway, after this meal, Dean is called into Lilith's grotto, which leaves Fawn alone to wander the gardens with Cassandra and Tickles. While she's out there, General Craven introduces himself, and he is very kind to her, actually. It's clear that she doesn't know immediately who he is, though.
But he's super kind, and he does say, like, you shouldn't be alone.
Yeah.
It's not a threat, but kind of it is.
Kind of it is. After this seemingly innocuous interaction, we get a perspective from General Craven himself, and he tells us, quote, he thought he'd choose power over loyalty to the crown, but one look at her protecting a little creature from a great serpent, and he knew the kingdom needed her. And so he decides to flee the kingdom with his family.
Okay, listen. What the fuck, Craven? Like, we just never hear about him again. And what bothered me is, like, you're choosing loyalty, but why wouldn't you go tell Dean or even Dean's dad, like, who is hunting his wife? If you care about loyalty and think the kingdom needs her, why wouldn't you tell somebody what you know?
Right. Like, do you not have faith in Dean's ability to, like, root out the Samuel guy?
Or is he just so much of a coward that he doesn't want to get in trouble for, like, association?
Yeah.
It's fucking weird, though. He's like, oh, we're just gonna go, okay?
Toodles.
You won't see me again.
Well, and this is one of those, another instance of somebody just ceasing to exist, ostensibly, and, like, nary a follow-up question. Like, there's one person who seems irked by it, but, like, Dean doesn't bring up, hey, I haven't seen that dude around. His father doesn't bring it up. Like, no one misses this guy.
No. And I can only imagine his name is General Craven because he has something to do with the military. And I feel like if your general goes missing, you would notice.
Maybe. Yeah.
But, I guess not.
Okay.
What do I know?
So Dean finds Fawn quickly after this interaction. After Lilith told him the whole reason she pulled him away from Fawn was so that Fawn could run into General Craven. So Dean's like, I hate this so much. But he tells Fawn who General Craven is, and Fawn is immediately upset that she didn't use the opportunity to kill General Craven. But then Dean changes the subject to the gift that he has for her, which is literally a saddle with a dildo on it.
Unlike a rocker.
To help her learn how to ride. Good, obviously.
Because she knows how to ride a dick, but she doesn't know how to ride a horse.
And they're essentially the same thing.
That's what he's implying. And, you know, he's not wrong. It's a great idea.
It's a great idea. And honestly, I think this scene did it more for me than I thought it was going to, because the description of the contraption is comical.
It is comical. And when the scene first gets introduced, I was like, no, I don't think this is the one. And then you get into the scene and I was like, all right.
I don't think this is the one.
And then it was like One-Handed Reading Club. So it was great.
What do I know?
I
learn something new about my own tastes every day.
I was so surprised. I think this was my favorite scene.
Yeah, honestly. Yeah, I think so. So anyway, it's here that they talk about having a small wedding and about having kids. Dean tells Fawn to stop taking family planning immediately so they can get pregnant, like tomorrow.
He's like, I've been trying to put a baby in you for weeks.
Right. And then he does that thing where he's like, every drop counts. And I'm like, she's still on the...
Like, she literally is like, I'm on the pill. And he's like, every drop counts. And I'm like, no, do that next time.
Do that next time. I mean, do it now if you're getting your rocks off, I guess. But like, you literally just said the words get off the thing and she hasn't done that yet.
Right. Like it immediately has happened.
Yeah. So we next see Fawn looking through Monroe's wedding book, and Monroe is distraught at having to do a whole wedding in less than a month. Callie comes in and is upset that Fawn is using Monroe's books because Callie used them to plan a wedding that she's no longer having with Dean as well. And so Monroe's like, okay, I got to go do something about that. Because remember, it's his cousin-in-law. They're like related.
Yeah. And like it does seem like Callie and Monroe and Braddock all had a good relationship and were friends.
Yeah. So later on, we see a fun night out in a local pub with Braddock, Monroe, Naomi, and Fawn. This is ostensibly her bachelorette party, and so Dean is supposed to stay home. At the bachelorette party, Fawn's friends tell her that she has to let some dude buy her at least one drink, and so a man sidles up to her, and she lets him do that. But this is when Dean whispers in Fawn's ear, from his invisible place behind her, that she should go sit with this dude. And so she does. And Dean pulls her down into his lap and begins a scene with her while she's trying to have a conversation with this poor guy about maps. Because he's a cartographer.
He just wants to talk about maps.
I thought it was interesting. And both Fawn and Dean are so mean about it inwardly.
They're really mean about it. So I mentioned earlier, so this scene, the first like portion of this scene almost did it for me. Like when he's just like teasing her and he's like, you better hold a conversation. But then they straight up have sex. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
And
This was
not
definitely
only,
a weird one.
well, and like, it's so fucking weird because he says, like, no one can see me, no one can see you moving. They can just see your face. But then he decides to show everybody, both of them. So again, they're just like having sex in a bar publicly.
Yeah, like I'm typically not into the voyeurism side anyway, and so this one was just super weird, and I just felt so bad for the guy across from her because he just seemed so earnest.
I know, and he didn't seem like a lech. Like he just seemed like he was hitting on her, but then he was like, "Hey, you want to hear about my hobby?"
And she's like, "Yeah."
It's fucking weird. Well, and something that we don't talk about very much in the voyeurism side is like usually when we get the voyeurism, it's in like the context of like sex clubs, right? The public sex acts usually happen in sex clubs.
Yeah.
And we talk about consent a lot, but usually that's isolated to the characters having sex. We don't talk about consent of the people like being exposed to you having sex. And I think that's something that matters. Like,
Yeah.
this whole bar didn't consent to watching you have sex right now.
Totally, but I also think that falls into like the morally gray/black thing because like
Yeah.
Dean's essentially like, I'm a king, I do what I want. You all like, I literally own you.
Yeah, and it's weird.
It's not my favorite thing.
Also, it seems kind of humiliating. Like, if I were
Yeah.
Fawn, I'd be like, get the fuck away from me. Or
Well,
I
and
can
even
just
if-
leave.
Even if Fawn's like into it, I just think it's humiliating for like the poor dude.
I know. He just
And
wants to
look,
talk
you
about
know
his
I'm not
naps.
like defending men at all, but like this
No.
poor guy.
But this guy didn't do anything wrong, and he didn't deserve that.
No. Anyway, just went down a rabbit hole about a character that does not matter.
We never see him again.
Yeah.
He's probably in therapy.
They're probably telling him to write a letter about it.
He's a terrible therapist.
So the next day, Fawn is on her own, trying to find her way back to the kitchens, and she runs into Emmy, Callie's younger sister. Emmy presents as this very meek girl just looking for her older sister to give her a message from their father, and so, they part ways, and Fawn doesn't think much more about it. But when Fawn is back to her search for whatever the fuck she's looking for, she overhears Callie talking with somebody that she can't quite see. But when she rounds the corner, it's clear that that person is Dean, and Callie and Dean are in each other's embrace and they kiss. Fawn is obviously distraught and runs away. She runs immediately into Emmy, who comforts her and offers her solace and solitude in her family's house in order to regroup and think about what to do. At Emmy and Callie's family home, so their last name is Gallo. I'm just going to refer to it as the Gallo home, which I thought was interesting because isn't that your family name or a family name for you?
Gallon.
Gallon. Okay.
Yeah. But that book you read about the mob, those were the gallows.
Thank you. Okay. I knew it was similar for some reason.
Yeah.
Okay. So gallows are back, but not in a mob way. Well, kind of a mob way, but that's
Kind of
fine.
a mob way.
Yeah. So they're at the Gallo home, and it becomes obvious pretty quickly that Emmy is unhinged, and she's lured Fawn there in order to kill her for her father. Her father is Samuel.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun. So Emmy incapacitates Fawn by stabbing her between the ribs, and that's when Callie comes home. She's like, Lucy, I'm what the fuck? And she's appalled by what Emmy is doing, even though Emmy says that she's doing it for Callie so that Callie can marry Dean and become queen. Cool.
And Callie's like, not like this, girl.
This is a different way to do it.
Like, I don't like her. I don't want her dead, especially in my foyer.
Truly. So Emmy's essentially like, you should leave so you miss all of the gory details. And Callie does leave. And Fawn thinks that she is left for dead, essentially. But Callie is just going back up to her room to get her medical bag. And she comes back downstairs to help. When she does, Cassandra has arrived at this point, and Callie communicates to Cassandra that Emmy is the real threat. And so Cassandra kills Emmy immediately so that Callie can work to stabilize Fawn.
Which is crazy. Like, okay, Callie. And it's not subtle, but it is kind of between the lines that Emmy is a psychopath and has always been a psychopath.
Yeah, like Callie knows things about her sister that are concerning.
Yeah. And I only bring that up because it seems really ruthless that she would be like, all right, Cassandra, kill my sister. But she has something in her internal monologue of like, Emmy's not okay and like she's not fixable.
We're just going to call an audible on that one and start over.
Yeah, I mean, sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, which is kind of rough because I feel like, I mean, Callie's entire family is going to get fucked up, right? Like,
yeah.
Not coming out unscathed, which is interesting because at the end of this book, I really come around on Callie in a way that I hadn't come around on the one that they killed in the first book. I forget her name.
Oh, yeah. The one that they just like leave in the forest
for dead. And then they write a letter from her to her dad saying, bye, daddy.
Yeah. I never came around on her, but Callie, I feel for.
And it's not giving away anything, but like at the end of this book, Fawn says to us internally, like, oh, I wonder if there's like a future or a version of events where like we could have been friends. And I think that's a much more interesting and like relatable character.
Yeah, than just killing them and leaving them for dead and then no one ever questions it again. Yeah, which it's far more interesting. It's because Callie's not a bad person.
She's not a bad person. She's just very human.
Yeah.
And we have enough people in this book who are either left for dead or disappeared enough without a follow-up question. So
exactly.
This was a little bit more nuanced.
Exactly. And even at Callie's like worst, like insulting, she's not even that mean.
She's really not. She's not a mean girl. Right?
No. She's just hurt.
Yeah. So meanwhile, while all of this chaos is happening, Dean meets with his father, who confides in Dean about his suspicions about Dean's mother. I didn't see this coming.
Me either. I thought it was all either Samuel, like, or it was all Dean's dad, and he's just also a psychopath.
Right. Yeah. So like Dean's dad essentially says like, I keep thinking about like who gave me the death certificate and it was from your mom. And Dean's like, are you saying that the human like monarch tried to like forge her death? And Dean's dad's like, no, I'm saying it's your mom. Like, it's kind of weird that he has to spell it out. And Dean's like, oh.
Dean's not the smartest. But I think it's just because his mom is such a nothing burger that he's like, she wouldn't. Not even that he respects his mom. I just don't think he thinks she's conniving enough to do anything.
Yeah, exactly. She's like totally under the radar.
But I like that Dean's dad is like, no, that's not what I'm saying. I think it's your mom.
Right. So Dean is grateful for the information, but it doesn't make up for all of the years of abuse from his father. So he tells his dad that he has until Fawn and Dean conceive to find somewhere else to live, which is kind of a weird place to draw the line.
Why not the wedding? Like,
why not next week? Like, why are you, I mean, conceive is such an interesting, because like, I had so many questions. One, why is it when you get pregnant? Like, what if it takes you years to get pregnant? Do you really want him to be around for that long? Two, like a conception point is already in the past because you don't, I mean, unless Fae are different, which maybe they fucking are, I don't know. But like, you don't find out until you miss a period. So you're at least a month behind. And so you're like, oh, this is your retroactive 30 days notice to get the fuck out. Like,
it was such a weird point, and I had the same like stumble over that. I was like, why?
Yeah. Like, okay, cool.
Go now. Okay.
Anyway, his father balks, and Dean essentially tells him, quote, I would never let a monster like you around my children. You're lucky I've decided to let you live. I cannot say the same about your wife.
Whoa.
Yeah. I also just really love, like, every time a child refers to one of their parents like that, like your wife instead of my mother, just it hits every time.
It does hit. It's yeah. And we don't get enough of that, I think.
I agree. Yeah. So Dean leaves the meeting resolute but unsure what his mother's motives could be, and then Cassandra gets in touch and she's like, yo, shit's going down at the Gallow House, like meet me there. And when he does, he finds Callie tending to Fawn with Emmy dead, and he's like, what
the fuck
happened? I leave you alone for 5 seconds.
This is why you can't be left alone with a deaf snake.
This is why I wanted to wear the handcuffs.
Well, and Cassandra is like, she got upset, but I don't have ears, so I don't know why any of this happened.
Well, and it's interesting because Cassandra, okay, so this was interesting because Cassandra can see through glamour, royal glamour, which is I didn't realize that was the case. So what she sees is essentially, okay, I'm trying to remember names in this moment. So Dean's mom and Callie colluded together to make it seem like Callie and Dean were still together, or to make Fawn believe that. And so they glamored this specifically Dean's mom glamored this other guy because she's a royal fae and they have strong glamours. So they glamored this guy to make him look like Dean. But when Cassandra sees that scene, she sees the other guy. And she's like, I don't know why she got upset.
She's like, I don't understand the problem. And then she ran away.
Right. But but she's not royal, so she shouldn't have been able to see through that, right?
I don't know if that's just like a familiar thing that maybe like they just have the power, because like we get kind of a one-liner later that when they're married, Fawn's power will be like elevated to that of a royal. So maybe if you're like, since Cassandra's so closely tied to Dean's power, she essentially has like those same powers. But it would be super nice if you could see through glamour, but also see what the glamour is. Like to know that there is a glamour in place.
Right, exactly. Like to be able to see like some kind of aura or whatever.
Yeah, because that seems like it could cause a lot of confusion like it did here. She's like, I don't know what the fuck happened.
And you're going to tell me that Cassandra gets the powers to be able to like see through that without knowing that it's there, but she can't get the ability to fucking read. It's fine.
Exactly. It doesn't make no sense.
Make no sense.
It don't make no sense.
It's not what I'm here for. It's fine.
It's fine.
So they all go back to the ranch being the palace, and Fawn is being tended to and out of danger. And so Dean confronts his mother with the information that that she lied about Fawn's death certificate all of those years ago. And so she does reveal that it was her and tells Dean that she did it because she didn't think Fawn would be able to handle being queen, whereas someone like Callie was born and raised for it.
Which is a fucking wild reason.
It's a wild reason, and like mates are, in the world of this book, mates are gifts from the gods meant to make the royal lines the strongest that they possibly can be for their kingdom. And if they don't happen for whatever reason, then that kingdom is weakened, right? And so it's like she thought that she would be so bad that it would be better to have like a materially weakened kingdom with Callie as the queen. Like that doesn't make any sense.
No, and ostensibly like Dean's parents are mated because they're royal, right? So she knows how strong that bond is, and she still thinks that like Callie would be a better choice.
Yeah, kind of a weird thing, but
whatever.
It's really not the point of the book. Anyway, So Dean has her taken to the dungeons.
And we never mention her again.
Nope, we never see her again.
She might still be there.
I think our body count is up to 4.
Yep.
Cool. So when Fawn wakes up, we get the full story of what happened about Dean's mother colluding with Callie, glamoring this dude to make it seem like it was Dean, and then, all of that fun stuff. And so Callie immediately admits that she had a bad taste in her mouth when, like, as soon as it happened, like she saw Fawn's face, saw her run away, and she was like, oh, that feels bad. And she apologizes for Fawn. And Fawn also apologizes for essentially stealing Callie's life.
Well,
sorry, girl.
Yeah. Sorry, girl. Didn't mean to.
Yeah. So Fawn tells Dean that even though she saw him and Callie together, she wasn't going to just leave him high and dry. She was going to fight for him. And it's in this interaction that Fawn, like I mentioned before, thinks in another life that she and Callie could be friends, which I kind of hope that they grow into a friendship.
Me too, because there's no reason for them not to be, like, once Callie's broken heart heals.
Yeah, exactly. So then 8 weeks later, Fawn and Dean marry, and we get one last scene on their wedding night, which is great because I feel like we so often have the complaint that, like, we have this happy ending now and we don't even get to relish it a little bit.
Yeah, and I really didn't want you to leave me on that weird bar scene.
Yeah, that would have been, a choice. But yeah, I'm glad that we could just get this one more scene because, like, this is literally dropped at the end of the book for funds.
It's just like, here you go, we're married, now let's bang.
Yep. Yeah. And then we get an epilogue, and it's 13 years in the future, and these guys have like a whole mess of kids with their one biological daughter, and Tickles is still around, but we still don't get a confirmation of whether or not he's a familiar.
Tickles is totally a familiar, and there is also a brief scene somewhere in here where it doesn't matter where at the timeline, but I'm bringing it up because this is very funny to me, where Tickles is like in a box. For some reason, they're like going somewhere, and Fawn opens the box, and something happens, and Tickles jumps on Dean, and Dean passes the fuck out like a little girl. And I think it's delightful.
Yeah. Yeah.
He shrieks and faints.
Literally, like, loses all body consciousness. It's hilarious.
It's hilarious.
So yeah, and that's where the book ends.
I love it.
A lot of fluff. A lot of fun.
So much fluff. So much fun.
So let's get into our ratings. So how did we rate The Spice?
We gave it a 4, which you probably saw so far in our coverage. It's great. We get all the detail, all the communication, all the foreplay. It's pretty creative. Like, it's not... It's a heterosexual couple, but it's not straight vanilla. I mean, she literally fucks a saddle, which is delightful. There's, like, the spanking. There's also... We didn't call it out, but there's some of that, like... derogatory language and also praise. There's like the good girl and like My Little Whore kind of play, which is fun in the way it was used. And we get a lot of scenes for a less than 300 page book. And
Yeah.
the point of reading books like this is a lot of smut, and we got a lot of smut. So I don't have a lot of complaints. Honestly, the only reason it's not a 5, I think it would have been a 5 if not for the weird bar scene for me, honestly.
Yeah.
If that was just a foreplay scene, I would have been fine. But it just got kind of strange.
Yeah, it got a little strange. And I also think that, like, look, it's good, it's specific, it's long, it's plentiful, but like it is just kind of a little bit vanilla, right? Like,
yeah.
At this point, we're splitting hairs between like what is A Lady of Crooksgrave Manor for 500
Yes.
Alex and what is like just everything else.
Everything
I
else.
think this falls into like a solid everything else category, and like I don't have any complaints,
It's
but it's a
approachable.
solid 4.
Yeah.
So then we're into writing style, and we have a bit of a difference here. So explain your rating, because you might bring me down.
Okay. So, and I actually have an example for this. So I rated it a 3. There aren't any typos, but there are a couple parts in this book where it just felt like it wasn't edited. Like the reading gets a little clunky. So for example, when they first get to the palace, and they like split ways or whatever, there's this line that says, "To the crowd, Dean waved and walked inside. Well, not everyone." And I think what it's trying to say is like he didn't wave to everyone, because the point here is that he's invisible. So he's like waving to people who can see him. But it doesn't make sense. Like, to the crowd, Dean waved and walked inside. Well, not everyone. What?
Oh.
And that's the only one I highlighted. But there were a couple instances like that where it was just like a word was missing, or it just wasn't like read closely enough, where it just didn't it didn't flow the way it should have been. And that knocked it down for me, because things like that made me read it a couple times to try and figure out what was happening.
Yeah, and I think if I'm honest, I probably just didn't read it that closely, but I
Yeah.
agree with you. Like now that I'm thinking about it, and I'm kind of not surprised. Like, right, like these books are consumable, they're quick,
Yeah.
whatever. Like, I'm not looking for high lit here. So yeah, I think I'm gonna bring mine down and agree with you on 3.
Yeah. Which,
But I will say, right, like the writing style is very accessible, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like there's not a lot of overly flowery language. The formatting is good. So even if there were like minor typos or like weird things like that, like it was always clear who was speaking or whose perspective we were
Yes.
looking at. And there wasn't like weird like blocks of text or something like missing or ill formatted or anything like that. So
No.
solid 3.
definitely.
No
And I
complaints.
might be getting a little bit harsh on it, but we've done this for a while, so I'm going to rate it how I rate it.
Yeah. Okay, bringing us into quality of storytelling. How do we rate that?
We also gave that a 3. We know what we're here for in this book, but there are some questions that are kind of left unanswered, like the characters who disappear and we just never reference it again. Or like that letter that didn't make it to Braddock and it doesn't come back to. I also feel like the motivations, like for Dean's mom, don't make a whole lot of sense in the context of the world we're led to be in.
Yep.
This book is great for what we're here for, but if we're looking at like a well-formed plot, and I know she says like this is not an intricate plot, and I'm not looking for that. I'm not knocking that. There's just some things that just don't make a lot of sense. And Jamie Applegate Hunter gives us that warning from the get-go. So I'm not trying to like punish her for what she promised, because she delivered what she promised. Just some of those dangling ends are a little annoying.
Yeah. So like if you can't like hang with that kind of stuff, or if it's really going to annoy you, like it might be like something to consider. But I mean, for us, obviously it didn't perturb us. It was the same in the first book. And obviously that thing is continued because we know what we're here for, but it obviously doesn't bother us enough to not recommend this book, because do we recommend it?
We do. And I would
We do.
still like to read more in this series, honestly.
I would too. I mean, look, it's so hard to find like that perfect like intersection of like a world that is enough believable characters that are like not fucking annoying and enough smut to like make it like that nice quick package that you want.
And it's quick and a one shot.
Spill. Yeah, it's a one shot. Girl, I don't need an 800-page book and 5 of them.
No, like there's a time and place for that, but it's, as said in the disclaimer, it's a perfect palate cleanser.
Yeah, perfect palate cleanser. That's a great way to put it. So we did it, guys. Those are our thoughts on Tragically Yours by Jamie Applegate Hunter. Thank you, as always, for joining us on this journey. Let us know what you thought on the socials. You can find us on TikTok, YouTube, and Goodreads at Spice Traders Pod. And if you like our podcast and want more, consider becoming a patron. We release Patreon exclusive episodes on our off weeks there. So check us out. And if you really, really like us, drop us a review wherever you listen. Until next time, we'll see ya.
Bye.
Bye.